The Savior explicitly proclaimed that both James and John would drink his bitter cup. It is understandable that scholars and priests would balk at the thought that anyone other than Jesus Christ would drink the cup of the sins of the world. But that is what Jesus said, and we must take him at his word. Nor can we argue around it, making it mean something it doesn't. The Savior meant that James and John would, in some way, take upon themselves the sins and suffering of all mankind. This being the case, how is this done and what does it mean? Contrary to the common assumption, there is more than one fundamental rationale for Christ taking upon himself the sins and suffering of the world. Yes, the Lord's suffering in Gethsemane brought about the atonement, the redemption from death and sin. Only a man without sin could pay the price of sin, and that man was Jesus Christ. His sacrifice made it possible for men to become kings and priests unto God, as John saw in his vision. But that was not the only reason for the Lord's suffering in the garden. The painful process gave him necessary experience without which he could not understand, let alone succor his people. Alma explained this principle to the people of Gideon. When the adversary, through the mouth of the serpent, tempted Eve into partaking of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, one of the arguments he used, which we learn from the endowment, is the necessity of experience, knowing the difference between good and evil for ourselves through direct exposure. The only way Eve, or anyone, could know the difference between good and evil is to actually partake of the fruit herself. Eve wondered if there was another way to learn harsh reality. Lucifer assured her that there wasn't. There is no other way. Indeed, there is no other way. Everyone, including Jesus Christ, must learn in the same way the Father did through partaking the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That is, we must learn through direct experience. Though this truth was revealed to Eve through the mouth of a liar, it is nonetheless true. Its truthfulness is attested throughout the Scriptures. Isaiah prophesied that the Messiah would learn to refuse the evil and choose the good from direct exposure to the opposites, from eating butter and honey, just as Adam and Eve ate the fruit. Like Lehi and his family, we must first pass through the dark and dreary waste and the great mist of darkness before we can taste of the fruit. While languishing in Liberty Jail, the Lord confronted the young prophet and gave him perspective on his troubles. Everything he would endure would give him experience and be for his good. Only through truly knowing good from evil can we become gods, to act for ourselves and not be acted upon.